Parshas Lech Lecha. Torah Or. Inyan Lech Lecha vayelech l'masa'av mimata l'mayla mimayla l'mata. This is the idea of what God told Abraham, Lech Lecha, go to yourself. That Abraham, and also the idea of vayelech l'masa'av, that Abraham went on his journeys from below to above and from above to below. La Hashem Nira and Hashem Stam. He built two altars. One was to God that appeared to him, and one he built to God. What's going on over here? Okay, Herschel. Okay. Let's go. Hine. Now we know that Abraham, interestingly enough, Abraham had his name changed. God changed Abraham's name. And unlike Yaakov, that also had his name changed to Yisrael, but Avraham, once he was called Avraham, and Hey was added to his name, it never in the Torah doesn't go back to calling him Avram at all. Which is not the case with Yaakov. He's called Yaakov. God, he fights with an angel. God changes his name to Yisrael, and after that his name is called Yaakov again. It's called by the name of Yaakov, which that's discussed later on. Now we're talking about Abraham. Abraham, once he got his name was originally Avram, and he's got his name changed to Avraham. Let's see. Hine. Avram hu seichel anelam mikol rayon. Avram indicates that Abraham was attached to an awareness, a consciousness of reality which is above all understanding. He was living in a world which was above he was aware of God. What does it mean, aware of God? According to Judaism, God is creating everything, right? Abraham realized this when he was 3 years old. Sometimes he was 40, 42, the different ages. Different stages of realization of what God is. Okay, Herschel? Different stages, and he realized at different ages that he was at, what God is, how God is creating the world, and etc. So Abraham got to this tremendously high level of understanding of godliness. Let's say even higher than Noah. But this level has to be in a way of revelation. Okay, Herschel? Hainu, liot seder ishtalshlut mebechinet chachem velo bechachma yediyah bebechinet yerida mimedrega lamedrega, namely that there has to be a descent from this level of God being wise but with no known type of wisdom, to come down, Yerida, to come down from level to level, ad sof, until the end of all levels here in the physical world. V'tachlit hu liot gilui bebria yitzira v'siya gan eden elyon gan eden tachton tainug nivroim sheyochol lekabel gilui tainug chuli. Okay, Abraham, his job was to change the order of creation. God created the world specially in a way that he wouldn't be revealed here, especially after the sin of Adam. Before the sin of Adam, God was revealed in this physical world. This physical world was called Gan Eden. This physical world was called Gan Eden. Okay, Herschel. The physical world was called Gan Eden. God was revealed here. As soon as Adam didn't realize how important he was. He didn't realize how much power he had, how important he was, and he also did not realize how tricky the world is. What an amazing job he had. So Adam, for whatever reasons it was, he misjudged the whole thing. He ate from the tree. He did what God told him not to do. And because he did that, all of a sudden the whole world flipped around. The whole entire world just became different. And all of a sudden, all of his priorities became different, and his order became different. It's something like bribery. You know what bribery does to a person. Bribery. A person accepts a bribe and all of a sudden he becomes a different person. It says in the Torah, a person is a tzaddik and a chacham, shochad ma'aver enei chachamim, v'yisalev divrei tzaddikim. Here's a person, he's a tzaddik, and he's a wise man, and he's a righteous man, and you slip him a few $1 million into his pocket, for his synagogue, or for his yeshiva, or for his school, and all of a sudden he becomes your best friend. And no matter what you do, he agrees with it. He starts to agree with it, right? Until he becomes a monster, right? A monster. And as long as he keeps covering it over, he keeps making excuses and covers it over, and more excuses and more, he becomes expert at making excuses, and he knows the whole Torah, so he used the whole Torah for making excuses about what he does, right? Because he got something that he wanted. Something he wanted. That was what happened with Adam. And that's the nature of human beings. That's the nature of human beings. God put us in the world with this nature. The idea of Abraham was to go against this nature and to reveal in the world a new world, to give everyone in the world the power to go against their, what I call natural nature, and to live human nature. Right? To go according to their conscience, go according to their principles, according to their values, have new principles, new values. That's really what makes a human being a human. Except for that, he's like an animal. A very complicated animal, a very sophisticated animal. But an animal. Can't have any better example than the Germans. Before World War II, they were human beings, they were very sophisticated, they were very cultured, they were very progressive, they had science, they have art, they had all these wonderful things. But without proper values, as they just became true, pure animals. I think that was one of the big principles of Nietzsche, I think. I mean, I'm no big expert at Nietzsche, but the supremacy of the will over conscience. In other words, you're the boss. You do what you want to. Abraham came to show the world that there are values that are so real that it's even worth giving everything, sacrificing everything for these values, and that's true happiness. You'll be able to live a life not being selfish. That's the secret of happiness, not being selfish. Giving yourself, there's all sorts of different types of happiness, but that's the idea of Abraham. Abraham is to make these ideas, these feelings of values of God real. Vatachli, through that there should be revelation in Bebriya Yetzirah and Asiya, that there should be revelation in the upper spiritual world, that people's conscience, they should be able to perceive these spiritual principles. Elyon Tachton Tainug Nivroim, Sheyochlu Lakabel Giloi Tainug, so that human beings should be able to receive the pleasure of doing what's right. There's a certain pleasure to do what's right. V'zeu inyan chesed is gale b'pume de'ima. That's what it means, that kindness is revealed in the mouth of the mother. This is Kabbalistic stuff. Mother is called Bina. Okay, now, I gave you the 10 Sfirot, right? Remember we learned in the previous Maimer about Chachma and Bina? Okay, so Chachma is called father and Bina is called mother in the 3rd chapter of the Tanya. This is based on the idea that God has a personality. That God is not just, God is not just up in the heavens, He reacts to what we do. And there's who to talk to. God reacts to what we do. Very basic principle in Kabbalah, in Baal Shem Tov, how He brought to the world. God reacts to what we do. It's called eteruta delatata eteruta dela. By means of what we do in this world, God actually reacts. It says in the Bible that man is created in God's image. Now it also says in the Bible that God has not got an image. So what does it mean? We talked about this before. That's what's called the 10 Sfirot. The 10 Sfirot is the mystery of faith. It's called the mystery of faith in the Zohar. That God has a personality, but it's infinite. He has wisdom, but it's no type of wisdom that we know. But nevertheless, it is wisdom. It can be defined as wisdom, and nevertheless, it has no definition, it has no limits. Okay, Herschel. There can be a revelation of this level of Chachma, this level of Av Ram. Av Ram is very, very high. The level of Chacham, we said the wisdom. to have this level of Av is father, Ram, to be revealed in this level which is called Bina, understanding. This is just like in humans, right? You have a human being, a person has a Chachma. What is Chachma? Chachma is like, your conscience, inspiration, what's another word? The inspiration, values, love. Something you obviously love, something spiritual. You have an attraction to something. These are ideas which come from like Chachma. This is called Chachma. This is above understanding. Things that are above understanding. Feelings that you have, which are above understanding. Sometimes they can also be incorrect, interpreted incorrectly. Bina is understanding. Bina is how ideas come into your understanding. Genius. A person is a genius, he can explain all these ideas. But before he has these genius ideas that he can explain, that he has a genius idea that he can't explain. All of a sudden, poof, it pops into his mind. Like this, he tries to understand, tries to figure it out, until finally he can articulate it and bring it into it. That's Bina. The original idea, that's Chachma. And Bina is the understanding of the idea. V'hu Yoshev Petach HaOel. That's what it says, that Abraham sat in the opening of the tent, the opening of this tent. That's this level of Bina. Now, everything that happens in this physical world has a spiritual counterpart. And that's what Abraham wanted to make available to everyone in the world. But in order to reveal this level of Chachma, this level of the awareness of the infiniteness of God, in order to reveal this in the physical world so that people can actually do something with this feeling, this is by means of simtsumim. This is by means of what we call contractions, articulation. Same thing, a person has an idea and he can't say what the idea is. Right? He can't express what the idea is. The Lubavitcher Rebbe once said that the children that were autistic, he said that they have a better understanding of God than other people do. They can't understand why other people don't understand God, but they just can't articulate it. It's such a high awareness of what the truth is that a lot of times they can't speak. They can't.
This all overwhelms their.
Maybe it overwhelms. I don't know what the dynamics of the whole thing is, but nevertheless, that's what it is. I remember there was one person that came in front of the Rebbe and said, "My son, he has autism and this," and the Rebbe said that they understand God very well, and he said, "My son can't talk." He said he can't talk anything, and the Rebbe said that they have a high understanding of God. And this person said to the Rebbe, he said, "Oh yes, blessings he can say." And it was the most amazing thing. And the Rebbe said, "Oh yes." The Rebbe was really happy with the news.
Like too much light in a container?
I guess that's what it is. Or maybe they just realize that no one can understand them. Maybe it's just ideas that can't be explained. Not that they personally can't explain it because it's too much light. Maybe these are just ideas that can't be explained. There's no words that can express, what this idea is, could be. I don't know. But that's the idea of Abraham, to bring these ideas and feelings of the reality, perceptions of the reality of God into the world. The only way you can really perceive God is through what we call faith, emunah. Faith, like the eyes can see and the ears can hear. The ears can't see and the eyes can't hear. It's not the proper. So the same thing as emunah, faith, is really the only vessel that can really perceive God. Perceive God. Okay, just like your brain is the only the vessel that can perceive mathematics. You can't perceive mathematics with your eyes or your ears. You have to have your brain. Right? But there's people who have a brain and they don't use it to perceive mathematics, or they make mistakes in mathematics. Same thing, faith can also make mistakes. You can have it, right? It's an organ of perception, but it can make mistakes. People can believe in all sorts of crazy things. That's where idolatry comes from. Right? Idolatry comes from basically not believing that God has a personality, that God is very far away. It's too far. I was thinking of learning in this class right now a mimer which is called Mayim Rabin by the Rebbe. Mayim Rabin. It's based No, but he talks about idolatry, where idolatry comes from, different forms of idolatry. Very interesting, different levels of idolatry. And basically that's what it is. God is so far away that he can't get involved in the world. Right? Okay, so that's why Abraham went around and broke the idols, the story about Abraham. Because these people were believing in idols, it means that they didn't want to accept the fact of God's closeness to them. They believed in God. They said there's a God who's too high up. He's not busy with, It's like going to Trump to tell him to fix your fire hydrant or fix your faucet in your house.
They wanted to buy some favor with some of his assistants.
So that's right. So they have these assistants, and they see that it works to a certain degree. They believe in the sun, they believe in the moon, and it works. Right? It works to a certain degree. If it didn't work, nobody would do it. So it works to a certain degree. But the problem is you're giving your pledging allegiance to the wrong power. It's not to the boss. To one of the helpers. It's trying to assassinate the king, like that.
It's like you're offering a bribe.
Impeach the king. What?
It's almost like offering a bribe. Just as a bribe distorts you receiving a bribe, also giving a bribe.
The Rebbe has a very beautiful mimer about Ana Nasiv Malka, that a person that really believes in God, believing in idols has a lot of big advantages, and the big advantage is that it's selfish. You don't have to go out of your, out of the cube or whatever they call it, out of the box. You don't have to go out. Exactly the opposite. You want benefits. So you believe in the sun, you believe in the moon, you believe in this person, you believe in this star, you believe in this saint, you believe in an angel, you believe in this, and see if it works. See if it works. So he prays because he wants a new motorcycle, and it worked. He prays to this thing. If it doesn't work, so his next door neighbor says, I don't know, where'd you get that motorcycle? He says, I prayed to the frog, and I got a new motorcycle. He says, I don't believe it, man. I've been praying yeah. I've been praying to this telephone pole, for years. It doesn't. Well, don't pray to the telephone. Telephone pole.
You gotta go to frog.
I used to also pray to the telephone pole, but telephone poles, they just don't get the job done. You just pray to the frog, and he prays, and it works. This is it, right? Praise, right? So it works. So therefore, but what's really supposed to be? What's really ideally supposed to be? Ideally supposed to be, if you really believe in God, then you're not thinking about what you're receiving. You're believing in God means you just feel so grateful that you're being created all the time for free that you try to think about what you can give. But it's very difficult to give if you don't have a house, and if you God forbid you're sick and you don't have any money. So you pray for God to use these things, that you can have these things in order to use them. And when Mashiach comes, ideally there won't be any more sickness, and there won't be any more poverty, and there won't be any more. So the people will be free to serve God. So that's why we're praying. Now we pray every day, 3 times a day, right? One of the reasons of prayer, Shemon Esrei, is that God should take away our troubles so that we can serve Him properly. But the idea is to serve Him. That's supposed to be the idea. That was Abraham. And therefore Abraham went around and he broke all these idols, because the idols were only, fortifying selfishness. And when a person is selfish, he's never happy. He's always miserable. For a little while you can be happy, your team is winning or something like that, but it's not genuine happiness. And that's not genuine pleasure. Okay. But in order to reveal this oneness of God in the physical world, there has to be what we call contractions, articulations, limitations, right? It's like if you want a book. You have a book. You have a book. You have to have letters, right? It has to be letters. You just can't take ink and just throw it on. It has to be limited. These ideas, you have beautiful ideas, wonderful ideas. The Torah, wonderful ideas. The Torah, fantastic. Gomorrah, right? Fantastic. Amazingly enough, you can actually put these ideas on a thing like this. It's just it's a piece of paper. It's a nothing. And a person reads it, he gets ideas, he gets inspired. How does it happen? So that's the idea of contraction. He contracts his ideas, he learns how to write, he learns the language, he gets ink, he gets a pen, he gets paper. He has to be how do you say, contracted in the proper way, and then it can be digested by other people. So it's the same thing. Abraham wanted to give these wonderful ideas down around to everyone. How did he do it? He had to contract it. That's the idea of Yitzchak. Yitzchak is the idea of gevura, of contraction. This is by means of what we call contractions and helem and concealment. This is the idea of darkness of Yitzchak. How can a normal, ordinary human being, an ordinary coal miner or something like that, really believe in God and that God is with him and really get excited about God and we're not talking about idols and wanting to desire to serve God with all of his being and all of his this, and he's happy that he's a unique person and he's happy. How can this possibly be? That's Abraham's job. That's Abraham's job. I don't know if you know. Are you with me? So I don't know if you know, but Abraham started. He started what only Mashiach is going to finish. Abraham was called. His name was changed to we'll see, Av Hamon Goyim. When he had the bris milah, when Abraham circumcised himself, that's when the letter Hey was added to his name. And God told him why it was added. He said, up to now you've been Avram. He says, you're going to be called now Ava, Raham, Av Hamon Goyim. The commentaries, Rashi says, the father of all the world, the whole entire world. And Abraham was supposed to tell the whole world that there's a God who's creating them. Everybody's supposed to worship their own creator. It's not so far-fetched, right? It's pretty close. I'd say better than worshiping a frog. You're worshiping your own creator. The problem is you're worshiping your own creator. You have to feel, hey, I'm being created. This is an unusual feeling. And the God expects things to me. I have a responsibility to my creator. That's what Abraham wanted to bring to the world. But in order to bring this to the world, it had to be brought down properly. And that's the letter Hey. We're going to talk about that. That's the Hey that was added to Abraham. The ability to bring it down. But that's the job. Only Mashiach is going to do it. Up to now, even King Solomon, when all the Gentiles in the world came running to Jerusalem and they all realized that God is existing and that God is the Jews is the real God. But it didn't last long. Only when they came to Jerusalem. The Mashiach is going to make it that the whole world is going to teach everyone that there's a creator. People will see, you see sometimes a beautiful sunset, you see the wind blowing in the trees, all of a sudden you get inspired. Well, everyone will be inspired to know that they're also a beautiful sunset and they're also a wind blowing through the trees. That's the idea of the darkness of Yitzchak. Yitzchak is darkness because he darkens down, he how do you say, he makes palatable is the word, digestible, these high ideas of Abraham. Like it says in the Torah, it was evening and it was day. It was evening and it was morning one day. The evening, in order for there to be morning, there has to be evening first. First of all, there has to be darkness. In other words, there has to be, of course, God, it says in the beginning, there was God made light. There was light. And then after that, he darkened down the light. And then he was able to start creating the world. Let's look and see. Today, in order that there could be a world. And when there's darkness and light, then there is one day. Amshachat echad. Then you can draw down this level of the oneness of God. Just like anything. Let's say you want to be a doctor. You want to heal people. Nothing better than to be healthy. Biggest gift you can have, being healthy. A person is healthy in mind, in spirit, in body. Wonderful. To be healthy, you can be productive. You can put out your potential. So I want to do it. I'm going to be a doctor. How do you be a doctor? I just have love for everybody. And you can't do it like that. You have to go to university. I go to university. There's going to be all these sick people are going to be sick. I'm going to go there for how long does it take? 10 years. 10 years, you know how many people are going to be sick and I can't heal them? Because of this, I can't. I can't do that. I mean, there's all these people, I can't just ignore them. If you really want to make people healthy, then you have to learn how to do it. You have to, first of all, calm down yourself a little bit, and you have to limit yourself, and you have to take time, you have to have patience, you have to get these ideas into your mind. Maybe we can make it a little bit quick. Maybe if you're like a big genius, we can make it 6 years. Maybe there's a quick class. Maybe you can help other doctors in the meantime. But don't do it yourself. Health is such a wonderful thing, but if you want to really do it, you have to have what's called a tzimtzum first. You have to contract yourself. You have to this. So that's what he says. That's what he says. There will be erev, boker, yom echad. First of all, there has to be darkness. You have to darken yourself down. Then there can be light. That's what's called one day. Vayiboker yom echad kedei liot bechinet yesh. We did this in order that there should be a world, and there should be revelation in this world of the oneness of God. Hamshachat echad sheyeh yesh batel, namely that there should be the revelation of God's oneness, so that the yesh, the physical world, should be subordinate, should be surrendered, like a body, a healthy body, right? A healthy body means your heart doesn't act independently, and your eyes don't act independently, and your mouth doesn't act independently. That's what happens when people, God forbid, they have diseases, right? They can't control their eyes, they can't control their heart, they have to have a pacemaker, they have to have this, right? Everything has to, it's called bittul. Bittul means surrender to the whole entire health, to principle, to something higher than yourself. There should be a yesh, there should be a real world, and the world should be surrendered to the oneness of God. The world should be healthy. The world should be healthy. In order for there to be this revelation, there has to be mitzvah's milah. There has to be this mitzvah of circumcision. There had to be the mitzvah of circumcision. Lasira orla, to remove the orla, to remove the foreskin. What is this idea of removing the foreskin? This is what's called klipas noga, hachofefes, which covers over. Okay, what is klipas noga? Here we go. God creates the world, right? He wants there to be a world. According to the Tanya, look in the Tanya, the book of the Tanya, it's called the 6th chapter, the 7th chapter. So it talks over there, there's a thing called klippa. What is klippa? Right? Klippa, you with me, Mr. Smith? Yeah. Klippa. What is klippa? Klippa is potentially the best thing there can possibly be, is klippa. Best thing in the world, klippa. Why? Because what is klippa? Klippa means a shell. It means something physical. A shell. You have a fruit, you have a shell on the fruit. The same thing in the world. There is what's called holiness, and there's what's called klippa. Holiness is life. Holiness is life. Holiness is spirituality, it's life, it's your soul. It can really never get sick. Holiness. But what? God takes this holiness and life and spirit and soul and all these things, and that's not what He wants. Spirituality. He wants it to be a physical world. That's what God wants. Why He wants it, up to Him, but that's what He did. It's a good thing He does, because if not, there wouldn't be any classes, we wouldn't have any books. We wouldn't be here. We have a physical world. This physical world is called klippa. In this physical world, there's 2 types of klippa. One type of klippa is klippa you have to keep away from. Shells that are bad, you have to keep away from it. You can't do anything with it. And then there's a type of klippa which is called shining klippa. That's all the physical things in the world that you can do something with. Who decides? The Torah. The Torah decides what is good and what's bad. The Torah decides what's good and what's bad. Klippat noga is another way of saying nature. Nature. Right? Nature can either be good or it can be bad. Nature. A person has a nature, everybody has a nature that they can get angry. Is that bad? Usually it's bad. But once in a while it's good. Once in a while it's good. Right? You see people are doing the wrong thing, and you talk to them, nothing works, you get angry. What are you doing? You can't do this. Stealing is bad. Right? This is a bad thing. You get angry. So anger could be a good thing, right? Love, a wonderful thing, love. Right? But sometimes it can be bad. What love? A person loves something that's forbidden for him to love. He loves it. There's proper ways to express love. You're supposed to love every person, but you can't get married to every person. You can't eat every food. You can't do it. So there has to be proper. That's called klippat noga. Using nature in the proper way. Things that can be used in the proper way, and they can be used improperly, use them properly. Right? Your car. You can use your car to go to bad places, to drive on the wrong side of the street, to go do speed, to do this, be dangerous with your car. Or you can use your car for very practical, wonderful purposes, right? That's called klippat noga, using klippat noga properly. Who decides what to do with the world? Who decides what to do with this klippas noga? Who decides? Who decides? I decide. I'm the boss. Says that's called bad. That's what Adam did. Right? God decides. God is the creator. He creates it. He decides what to do. But he put me over here in the world that I'm his vehicle. I'm his vehicle. I remember once I was speaking to a bunch of soldiers here. And I told them in Israel, we've got enemies all around. I said to them, the fact of the matter is that God could do the whole business himself. He doesn't need you soldiers. A lot of religious people in Israel, they say this, So these people were looking at me like, wow, where'd you bring this guy from, to talk to us? I said, God could do the whole thing himself. If he wanted to, he could destroy it. He doesn't need you. So, but God decided that he does need you. He wants to do it all through you. Right? And that without you, it's not going to get done. That's what God decided. Oh. Right? And it's true. That's the fact that's true. Right? In other words, we're not here because, God personally decided that that's what he wants, that you have to make the choice. Ooh, if so, your choice is very important. Now your choice is very important, right? God decided, I can do what I want. I can do bad. You want to do bad? Do it. You can do it. You can do whatever you want. But God decided he wants you to make the right choice. That's the thing of Abraham. Abraham came in the world in order to encourage people to make the right choice. You should know that one of the 7 Noahide commandments, okay, Herschel, one of the 7 Noahide commandments that's forbidden is forbidden for a non-Jew to worship anything except for the Creator. Only the Creator. He can't worship the Son of the Creator, the Spirit of the Creator, this, the Creator. Can't do it. According to some opinions, certain forms of this are not punishable, but everyone agrees that ideally that's what Mashiach is going to make. Everyone will worship only the Creator. Let's go. That's Abraham. That's what Abraham started. So in order to make this revelation available to everyone, there has to be the mitzvah of milah. Bris milah, circumcision, to remove the orla. What's orla? Orla is klippat noga. This is what's called the klippat noga, what I said, the shining shell. Nature can be our biggest enemy. Nature can be our biggest friend. We have to remove the bad part of nature, shalo yelo yanika, so that nature should not control us. She'iev shar lamshich b'kinet gilui, that you cannot draw down any revelation in the world, ba'oda sham, while nature is prevailing. Ki im kashir chayuto chuli, only the measure that it was given to it by God. You can't change things. So people decide they all want to do sins, they want to do whatever averas there are, as you cannot talk to them about God. They're enjoying themselves, they're having a good time. Right? Everybody's making a big, whatever it is, barbecue on Shabbos, and they're eating not kosher food, and the Reform rabbi is presiding over the whole business, right? And what are you going to do? What are you going to tell these people? This is wrong, you can't do it. It says, would you like a piece of chicken, or would you like to shut up? Right? You have chicken, not kosher chicken, we're makpir, we're machmir, that we do not have kosher food here. Very careful, because it's Shabbos, and Shabbos you can't eat. And we're cooking on Shabbos, so.
It's free range.
Huh?
It's free range.
Yeah. You can do anything you want to. You can do anything you want to, but except for what God wants. You do what you want. Listen, God wants you to do this. Do me a favor, Rabbi. Take off. Right? So in order for there has to be, Abraham had to remove the orla first. How to remove the orla? Like I said, what are you going to do? Everyone's worshiping idols. They're all getting new motorcycles. They're all getting whatever. How are you going to convince these people to worship God? So he broke the idols. He broke that. So they put him in jail. He knew what was going to happen. And then they said they threw him into a fiery furnace. Huh? They said, how would you like to get thrown into a fiery furnace? No. Well, no, you're worshiping your big God. Huh? He's going to protect you. We all have motorcycles. You know what you get? Burned to death. So they threw him into the fiery furnace and says, listen, this guy's really wacko. I mean, he doesn't care about himself. You realize if you get burned, you're not going to be able to have a motorcycle. You realize this. He says, I don't care. Hashem echad, Hashem echad. You guys are making a big mistake. They threw him in the furnace, and he came out alive. I said, whoa, this is, we got to think about this. We got to think about this. The amazing thing is not that he came out alive. The amazing thing is that he wasn't afraid to be thrown into the furnace. The doesn't make any sense. We see that this man is not thinking about going to heaven. He didn't say one word about going to heaven or burning in hell. He didn't say if you worship these idols, you're going to burn in hell. He said, you're going against what God wants. He said, not me, I'm going to go to heaven. He didn't mention heaven or hell or anything, right? Look in the Bible. It doesn't say that Abraham even talked about it. So what is this guy? What's motivating this guy? What's motivating him? He didn't care anything. He's breaking the idols, got thrown into a fire. People started thinking a little bit differently. A little bit. Right? That was the whole purpose of Abraham. Lochen kasiv achar mitzvahs milah. Therefore it says after the mitzvah of milah, ki av hamon goyim, that Abraham became the father of all nations. Shelichiora eno muvan ma in goyim lakan. Abraham had a personal bris milah, circumcision. All of a sudden becomes the father of all nations. What does that mean? Doesn't make any. Vote for me. I circumcise myself. Right? Everyone in the world, I want to be your leader. No, what are your qualifications? I circumcise myself. Oh, this is good. What's one got to the other? Abraham should have said, I'm an expert mathematician, I'm an expert in economics, I'm a city planner, I can make things better, I can heal all your diseases, this is the guy we want. Right? This is the person we want. What did Abraham say? No, I'm circumcised. God said, you circumcise yourself, now you're going to be the ruler of all mankind. How can it be? Ki av amon goyim, so lechiora eno movement. It's not understood. What's the connection of goyim? But Abraham brought the power of what's called refining the world. By means of this revelation. Ki lama tzadikim domim. What are tzadikim similar to? Bifnei shechina. Before God's presence. Kaner bifnei ahavuka. They are like a little light in front of a huge bonfire, huge fire. Everyone's looked at Abraham and they saw this man is not being motivated by any selfish principles whatsoever. He's not doing anything whatsoever because of what he wants, because of his person. He's not motivated by anything we're motivated by. Right? Here we have a human being, he's living in the world, and he's not motivated by any selfish principles at all, not physical, not spiritual. What's going on? Who is this man? What is he coming to tell us? Right? He's coming to tell everyone, listen, God, He creates you, He loves you, you're special, you're unique. God gave everybody a potential. Use your potential. Forget about the idols. Forget about thinking about yourself day and night. Forget about worrying about the future so much. Don't worry about the future. You should plan, right? A little bit you should worry. Enough it should make you worry that you plan for the future, you make yourself a better person, etc. But go out, think about others. Said Abraham, why? That's the idea of bris milah, circumcision. That he took away his selfishness. That, by the way, was the beginning of the fixing of the sin of the eating of the tree of knowledge, which was brought about by selfishness. And that's going to be the idea of Mashiach, that he's going to eradicate negative, bad selfishness from the world. There's only going to be happy selfishness, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.